So, dear Dharma friends, when it comes to this meditation practice that we know, this Vipassana meditation is something special. And also, when we look at the world, mostly even though people practice meditation, but mostly they don't practice Vipassana meditation. Averagely, there are very few people practice this. Another thing is, sometimes people don't want to practice Vipassana. Or maybe name of the Vipassana, they practice something else. So why this happen like this way? And what is the difference with the Vipassana and what it does mostly to our mind? So when it comes to the very nature of our mind, and as we know that we always depending from the perceptions, and through our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. So whatever we perceive, and then we dealing with that, and it become our life. So this everything happen with the self-centered mind. So when it comes to that self-centered mind, we have certain experience ourselves, and then we become more comfortable with our own experience. That is what becomes self-view. So once you have the self-view, you become more comfortable to use that self-view to analyze the perception of your outside world. And so that analytical method always happening with the self-centered mind. But the thing is, you don't want to question yourself, because the very nature of the self-centered mind, it makes you more comfortable when you analyze. So then you don't want to question, because you always think that you're right. That's why it becomes the self-view. Because if something you take as wrong, it's not going to become your self-view. So whatever the perception perceived by the perceiver, and become more comfortable with that, and then hold it as right. Once you hold it as right, whatever you experience, it becomes your self-view. So now you are in the right position according to you. So then you don't want to question it. From that, the view that you hold as right, then you question the outside world. So this is happening all the time. So there are two ways from the ancient time, and even in through the philosophy, or even in the human history, there are two ways that mainly our mind work. So the one is kind of like called esoteric perspective. Esoteric perspective means that inside, internally, you are become more comfortable, and then in that inside you set up yourself, and then you don't allow this any outside things to involving in that inside, and you always become more comfortable with your inner experience. esoteric perspective. Another one is exoteric perspective. This is always regarding the outside. Exoteric perspective. So when it comes to that, you always analyze the outside, but you are not keep your inside to involving with that outside. So one is you have the inside, and it is very limited, and you keep it and secure it yourself. And other one is the outside, and you separate you, and but you analyze, or maybe you criticize, you debate with the outside. So those are two methods that naturally and knowingly or unknowingly it's happening with us. Why? Because from the ancient time we school ourselves and we educate ourselves through our culture, tradition, religions. It inject to us. So now we have these two methods. So one is esoteric perspective, and other one is exoteric perspective. So the esoteric is the inside, internal perspective, and the exoteric is the outside. So let's go to some examples to clarify this. So when it comes to religions, mostly that our religion, that whatever, if you are Buddhist, Christian, Catholic, or the Muslim, so whatever you believe, you don't want to question your religion. Why? Because you think it is right. So then why you want to question that? And then other thing is, sometimes you don't want to something else, any other religions. Why? Because already you know that you are right, then why you have to learn something else? So then you stay with that, whatever that you hold as right. You hold it as right, but at the same time, you don't learn anything from outside. Why? Because you know this is right, this I am the right. So then I don't want to learn that. Are they everything wrong? So that's why I am like this. Another thing is, you don't question yourself also. You don't question yourself also. You always think you're right when it comes to religion. Another thing is, another example, politics. Look, so whatever the political party you hold, you right. And you don't want to question. You always think it is right. That is esoteric perspective. So you hold it to inside. But at the same time, you don't question this. So the exoteric perspective is you always go criticize outside. You always go debate with the outside. You always go fight with the outside. And maybe even without the fight, maybe you go and you learn about the outside. Like as example, geography. You learn it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not related to self. It's not going to debate with you anything. You're going to learn about the stars. And you're going to learn about the weather. So you're going to learn about the ocean. So it's not going to take you to a kind of like the self-centered view and the debate kind of. So, but when it comes to religion and the politics, so culture, tradition, it's not like that. So then in the vipassana, you get out of this both. That is the very hardest part. When it comes to observe that, because that mostly when we become comfortable with ourselves, We allow it to happen. We allow it to be there like that. But in the very nature of the vipassana, see that deeply, thoroughly you observe your inner feelings. Most of people don't want to do that. That is why most people don't practice vipassana, because they don't want to question it, or they don't want to see it. They don't want to analyze their own feelings or sensation, formations, or their own consciousness. And sometimes they become more comfortable and looking outside and analyzing and criticizing, debating with the outside. But when it comes to vipassana, you develop this both nature. And you recognizing, you analyzing, you see the inside, and at the same time, you able to see the outside also. And then now you can understand, you are not bound to, you are not holding to inside view, and you are not bound to, you are not holding to the outside views. So then you become released from both views, or you become disassociate from both sides. That will help you to come to a clear understanding without the self-centered or without self-interest mind to see what is happening. When you're able to see what is happening with the inside and outside both at the same time, that is where you recognizing this is dependent origination. This is happening because of the cause and effect. Because you cannot get out of this world. We are kind of like the fish in the tank. See how you can separate your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind from these outside perceptions. You cannot. But at the same time, that the outside also not separate from you. You also part of the this outside world. So as example, now if somebody come and from top of your house, if they count the people and if they get all the details about your house, and you also included. So when we talk about the religion, see it is just a word, religion. You cannot find it as a entity, separate something, solid something. This is religion. So you can take this as a wood, but you cannot take the religion. This is religion. You cannot take the nation separately, or this is nation. It is not a separate entity. But then it is bigger than your religion, your culture, your tradition, and your believing system. Your nation is bigger than this wood. See, even that wood you can touch and feel and you can see, but your nation you cannot see. Your culture, your tradition, you cannot see. It's as a separate entity. So as example, if somebody asks, give all the details about this bell, then you can be very limited to this. And then according to the time, space, matter, you can give certain details regarding this, and maybe it will take many years, but still there is a possibility you can get into complete information regarding this. But how about when it comes to nation? What you going to talk about the nation? And how you going to define the nation or the religion or the culture? So it is so big. It is so huge. but still it doesn't have any separate entity. But still, why it is so huge? Because you are the part of it. You are the one who representing nation, the culture, tradition, religion, that everything. But the thing is, we don't see it ourselves. So when it comes to vipassana, you're not bound to like that. You don't bound to any kind of self views or any kind of social entity, and you become free from that all the views and start to observe that in the bottom line, in the pure level, the what is happening. That is very difficult. Look, even sometimes that when people come to power, the very first thing they do, they change the judge, even from the Supreme Court, whatever that, they take they take the judges out, they put them whatever they like. And then what will happen? So everything happen, even the media, that's everything. The very first thing they do, they take out the chairman and put a new chairman. So then what is happening, that everything you guide according to that what you think it is right. But when it comes to vipassana, you get out of this both views, and you disconnecting from the both views and start to observe naturally how things come to be as they are without self-centered association. Once the self-centered association happens, it becomes esoteric perspective. That means that you hold it. Yeah, others cannot come. Only you can do that. It's like certain temples, certain places. Only there are places only members can go. Others cannot go. There are certain places in temples in in our countries that you can go to certain level, and after that you cannot go. They have, don't cross the line, stay away from this point. But there are certain people, authorized people can go. So like that, once you become self-interest, self-associate what is happening, so whatever the feelings related with your past or the self-centered, only they govern your decisions. That it come as a self-view. Only your own decisions govern your own views. And it doesn't matter then whatever happened, and then somehow end of the day, you go for whatever you like. You don't care anything. Why? Because you see only that part. You don't see anything else. You don't want anything else. And other thing is, and sometimes you don't that much into the inside, and you mostly to the outside world. And then you forget sometimes you are inside, and you go with the whatever the outside details, and you become so crazy for outside world. So when it comes to vipassana, you balance this both. So the balance this both means, the important thing, remember, you don't keep this both. The mostly people think this, when it comes to balance, you keep half and half. No. This is nothing to do with half and half. You get out of this both views, and that is where you can see the completely, the clearly in a separate view. The mostly that I was studying about this, and mostly that it kind of like a middle path, but there is no such a thing called this as a middle path, because it is in the history it explained in different ways. But when I study some article regarding this viewpoint, that esoteric and the exoteric viewpoint, and when you get out of this both, you see how the inside work with your form, feeling, sensation, formations, and the consciousness, and you are not self-interested, or you are not uh, self-associate with that, but still you see it. And at the same time, in the outside world, with the heat, motion, liquidity, and hardness, how the forms arise and how the name and the form interconnected, and without self-interest or the self-association, or without any resistance with the self-centered ideas, you observe that also. And then you balance the both views. So the balance the both view doesn't mean you mix this both half and half, but you get out of this both views. And that is the kind of like the point that you can get into vipassana. Just imagine, just try to understand yourself conventionally, even practice point of view yourself. Just think a little bit. How about if you let go that all the self interest, or the self centered views, if you get out of that all, and if you able to observe something without self association, what will happen to you? Just imagine 100%, nothing to do with the self. You just see. That's where you're going to see the truth. Inside, outside, both. But mainly when you see the inside, you see the outside. Why? Because you are part of the outside. But mainly, when we see with the self-centered mind, we don't see like that. We see we are separate, outside separate. Dualistic mind. We always create separate dualistic mind. Subject and object, subject and object. But even in the deeper, that's why in the vipassana level, when you observe the feeling, sensation, formations, consciousness, once you take out the soul, there is nothing. So that then you means your feelings. So then you're not going to come to a separation, subject and object. So what you object become the subject, and subject itself become the object. To observe deeply and that and recognize it and experience to the bottom level, you cannot have the kind of like a self-centered idea or the view related with the past experience. That's the thing. So that is why this meditation try to take you to that point and to experience. So in your mind, that is the most powerful thing that it can experience. Because once you come to that point, remember, once you release from this all the views, and once you come to see without self-centered or the self-associate mind, if you able to see things, you're going to see how things come to be as they are. With what you like or what you don't like, with that, you cannot see that. So conventionally, always we go with what we like or what we hate. That's why we can that the in the conventional world we cannot experience the vipassana. So that's why we have to get into different kind of plane, or the different kind of seat, or different kind of posture, or different kind of practice to analyze that. That's why it's called analytical meditation. Because in the conventional way, we cannot go with that. But if you are able to get into that for a moment, even one single moment, that is the moment you going to get out of this conventional circle, and you experience something beyond that what you mesmerize yourself, what you already inject as thoughts or the ideas or the concept. And that is where you're going to become free from the thought or the conditioned mind. In that freedom is what you looking for in the samsaric journey. Knowingly or unknowingly, that is the end point of your journey. So it is possible to reach that, because you are already, remember, in the journey in the samsara, knowingly or unknowingly yourself, 90% you completed. Otherwise, you not hear this. You hearing this means you are 90% you are completed. Only you need just to very little moment. That is, just get out of this both views that you carry inside. Don't that the don't depend from this any side of this, and get out of this both, and try to see something without self associate. So that is where you see any situation come. Even you can practice so slowly while you having a glass of water, having your dinner or the lunch or breakfast, even lying down, even sitting in this very moment, your body, the way you hold the posture, iriyapata sati bhavana, and the movements that you do, can you see that itself without self association? You're going to see something beyond that what in your mind. So with that, I bless upon everyone. With this good practice, may all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you, may no difficulties come to you, may no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu mate bhavattantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Ettavata cha amme sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sambe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sambe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idamme punya kammang asavakkayavang hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.